everybody, to As the Pages Turn podcast, where we have another guest interview. And
That's
there's
right, we
also
got
a creepy
another
Craig
guest.
recording us. Yes, but we also have a creepy Craig who's recording us, and we'll talk about that later. But anyways, our lovely guest, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Lindsay Schultz. I run the Spine Bookshop in Smyrna, Tennessee. I'm an advocate for the freedom of speech and been fighting banned books. And my bookshop really leans into local and independently published and TikTok authors. And I'm just a all-around good troublemaker.
A very good troublemaker.
Remember her because we've talked about her and the bookshop in various other recordings.
Lord.
We didn't reveal all your secrets.
It's all lies.
So.
It's all lies.
It is not lies.
And we only said nice things. We did not mention the whole kidnapping part.
You know what? If y'all keep mentioning that, that might happen to you. Don't worry.
I don't know what this kidnapping thing is. I'm going to pretend I know nothing. So anyways, we have a couple. You're special, Lindsay, because we have like 3 sets of questions for you.
Oh, God.
You have so many jobs, right? You're an author. You're a bookshop owner. You do the banned book. So I literally made like.
You want me to go through and list them all?
Yes, we want you to list all this Wonder Woman mess you've been doing.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I have 2 dogs and a mom and a dad and a stepmom and 2 brothers. I run a knitting and crochet group. I run my own bookshop. I am working on a documentary. I have my own podcast. I'm also working on a play. I'm an advocate. I
forgot for parent questions. That's what I forgot.
Oh, I'm also a parent. Yep. I forgot. I get lost. I got so many freaking jobs.
I know.
I should all that. I can barely keep up with the book reviews and the podcasting.
Right? I should be like, who's your favorite, the animal or the kid, and make you choose. Oh, hold on, let me put that at the bottom. Anyways.
Hey man, spite is a great motivator.
Right? Okay. Oh, we're gonna start with the bookshop questions. And then we'll go from there.
All right.
But I wanted to start with a nice, easy question so that when we do the evil questions later, you won't suspect anything.
Yeah, there are no evil questions here.
Okay,
I'm sorry. You forget that I know who you 2 are.
Crystal's just over here lying. I don't know why, but okay. What was your favorite book growing up?
Do you mean like as a kid or as a young adult? Because it changed.
Either or. You can choose.
Okay. Well, as a kid, I really, really loved The Velveteen Rabbit. I really loved the idea that love could change you and make you a better version of yourself. And that's what I took from the story. Apparently, a whole bunch of other people thought it was really sad because, the bunny and the boy don't end up together. But I always viewed it as like the boy's love for the bunny made the bunny better. You know what I mean? Which apparently is a very weird way to interpret that book, I'm told. But then as I got older as I got older and I started reading more mature stuff, I really loved To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, that book is so good.
Oh, well, I mean, to the point that I have a mockingbird tattooed on my arm because it is literally one of my favorite books.
How did you choose the name for your bookstore?
So, my friend Tammy is the one who kick-started my butt into opening the bookstore. And then I was sitting around trying to come up with an unusual name, because you've got all those play on words and that kind of stuff. And I was like, I kept Googling bookstore names and I kept seeing all these different things. I was like, I don't want to sound like everybody else. So then I started looking at the books in my bookshop, or in my office upstairs rather. And my friend Jess was like, why don't you call it the Spine Bookshop? The back of the spine. And so the logo idea that I originally had was taking the spinal column of a person and putting it onto the spine of a book. So it would have this kind of like creepy, but like also really interesting effect. But I could never get the logo to work the way I wanted it to. And so I went with the Spine Bookshop. That's what we decided to call it. And then my mom gave me a dragon that she had made. And I had a naming contest for it, just to try to drum up people to be like, hey, you have a bookstore here now. And it turned into this whole thing. And so now when you think of the spine, you think of like the spine of a book, or the spine of a dragon. And apparently the spine to stand up and fight the patriarchy too, which that, again, also was not intentional, but here we are.
But it works.
But it
Yep.
works.
And I like how you were originally plotting to use a spine, actual spine on a book. That sounds so Mortal Kombat cool.
It was really graphically cool. And I kept thinking like gothic, like, you know, because gothic horror, like Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde,
Yeah.
The Picture of Dorian Gray. I love all those gothic novels. And I thought it would be really cool to have a gothic image to go along with the bookstore, but I just couldn't get it right.
Aww.
But it's okay. I like my dragons. I've got about 85 of them in the bookstore now, so it works.
I love the dragons too.
And they're
You
pretty.
even told me when I go to my book event, there's a woman who said she would quilt a dragon, and you told me make sure to grab you one.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Wait. So first you hide chocolate from me, and now you're hiding quilted dragons from Crystal. Crystal.
Well,
you're
Mia,
supposed to
I'm
tell
at the
me
point
stuff.
where I think I'm gonna have to. You've been getting really upset about this chocolate.
I'm just saying. I'm still waiting on chocolate, but I won't air our dirty chocolate laundry out there. But
Oh, please. Everybody knows that you
Already
love.
knows.
That's
I
nothing.
was talking about.
That's nothing secretive.
You know what? Shh. Anyway, it's totally a secret. Nobody knows.
Okay.
So, anyways,
Whatever you need to tell yourself, my love.
You know what? I tell myself that all the time. Anyways, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced?
Warm there?
I'm ignoring you and I'm asking you a question. So focus. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when starting the bookstore? And also, I know you faced some recently because of the book stuff. So you can mention those too.
When I first started, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. You know, like I don't know any, you know, I have a business degree, but like literally had no concept of how do I buy supplies? How do I get inventory? Like it was just all me literally FOFA. Like, okay, let's, and then people started donating stuff and I was like, okay, I can work with this. And so originally some of the stuff that I couldn't sell, I would take to the farmer's market and sell them. And then if even then I couldn't sell them, I would trade them in or I would donate them and try to get other stuff. And then I started doing special orders for people because they didn't want to have to order from Amazon. And I was like, cool, order from me. I'll do it. And it just kind of became this organic thing all on its own. And, you know, I really love what I do. It makes me so happy.
That's fantastic.
Which is important.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I don't think that I could go back and work for corporate America again. It was not for me. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I think it's wiser that you went out and did your own thing because the way corporate America exists, no one of these so-called good jobs, because we grew up being told, oh, do all this and you'll be able to get a good job, secure.
And that is a lie.
Secure anymore.
Yeah,
it's a lie. Nothing's secure anymore. Nothing's like what our parents got when we were little. So it's better when you sprout out on your own because at least you can control it.
Well, and I think that our parents' generation, there was this romanticized notion of, oh, the wife will stay at home and the man will work so the wife can raise the kids and blah, blah. And you watch it in movies and books. And in reality, it was like the wife stayed at home while the men usually screwed around with the babysitter or worked, you know, with the secretary. And the kids grew up and became 60s kids. And, you know, like it's not this romanticized notion that everybody seems to think it is. And, you know, I've sat here, oh, you have to have a degree. You have to have a degree. Okay, so I have a degree. And then I spent 3 years not being able to find a job. Yeah. You know?
Right.
So far, I have been using my political science degree for writing books, doing book reviews, and talking to you people on the internet.
Exactly. So I lost my job when I was 45. I got laid off. And the guy said I wasn't earning my paycheck. And I was like, I literally built your entire social media thing, but you know, okay. And so I was having a pity party and my friend Tammy, you know, I'm just like, I'm 45. I have a master's degree. I don't understand, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, okay, well, are you going to start your bookshop or are you going to keep sitting on your ass taking soul sucking jobs that are going to kill you? And I was like, damn, okay. No sugarcoating with that one, you know, but she was right. She was right.
Yeah.
And I technically, even though I had a master's degree and an undergraduate degree and with a minor in theater, and my undergrad was in English with a minor in theater, and my master's degree was business degree with a focus on entrepreneurship. Until I was 45. So the argument for the education that I got, I can't necessarily stand behind it because technically I could have done what I'm doing now without the degree. I mean, the degree helps, don't get me wrong. But I'm also, thanks to corporate America and the way student loans and interest rates are done, I'm also like $150 billion in debt for a student loan that I will never pay off.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, and I
It's
keep
like,
telling people the thing that you don't understand about student loans, I have no problem paying my student loan off. What I have a problem with is paying an interest rate that's triple what I signed
yes,
up for.
exactly.
And what people don't seem to understand about student loans is as your 19-year-old kid or 20-year-old kid and your stepfather dies and you need to finish for school, so you take out a student loan with a bank. And you apply for their student loans and the interest rate is like 0.04 or something, nothing. It's nothing amount, right?
Yeah.
I'm now 48 and my student loan has been sold and bought 15 times to the tune of now 8% interest rate.
Mm.
Which basically has triple what I would be paying in my student loans. So I'm in lifelong deferment at this point because I can't even, they want $700 a month. And then when I got done laughing about that.
Where are you going to get that from? The
Like, I
magic
don't
money
even
tree?
make that. Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, you have a master's degree. Yeah. And because of my student loan debt, I couldn't use my credit to get our house.
Yeah,
My
no.
husband had to do that. I had to get my husband's help to get me a car when somebody totaled my car a couple of years ago. I mean, like, people don't seem to understand that student loan debt devastates your life.
Yeah, because when I went to college, my parents' biggest complaint was when they went to college, their student stuff was not as high, and they would always complain. They were complaining to me saying, I don't understand why you have to pay all of this. There's no way you'd be able to do that.
And then you look at some of the fees that universities tack on, and it's like, okay, give me a break. Like,
and then
really?
that doesn't include like the food programs and everything else.
Yeah.
That they want to pay for on top of all that. Like that doesn't even.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But I regret nothing because it's gotten me where I am right now, and this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah, that's true. We
Excellent.
always end up where we were supposed to go. I thought I would be in a law office. Instead, once again, I am here.
Yeah, but knowing you the way that I know you at this point, I don't think that you would be happy in a law office.
Probably not. I'm a little too crazy. I always want to bend rules.
Yeah, I think that you would find the strict nature of the law, because I have always found law fascinating. Like, I always say that if I'd had to stick to it, I probably would have gone to law school because the law is always fascinating to me. It's always been fascinating to me. I love legal dramas, and I don't think I can handle the structure of it though, because I think it would piss me off too much. Our justice system is such a dumpster fire. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's not start that conversation because then we'll be here all day.
We'll be stuck there all day.
Yes. We will be here all day.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Yeah. Okay. How did you decide which books to stock, and how do you keep up with book talk trends?
If you do.
I am honestly not a trend follower, which may be harmful to what I'm trying to do, but I'm just not a trend follower. I kind of when I first started, everybody kept saying, oh, you have to have a niche. You have to have a niche. Okay, cool. Okay, it's a bookshop. With that, I mean, why do you need a niche? But I agree now that I've been almost 4 years into this. And so I took a day trip. One day I took a day trip and I bookmarked and map quested. God, that makes me sound old. Map quested all of the bookshops within about a 2-hour mile radius of where I live.
Yeah.
And I just went to every single one. I think I hit like 15 bookstores. And I didn't tell anybody at the shops what I was doing. I just walked in and looked around to see what they had, see what they looked like, made notes to myself about, what is it that is special about this bookshop that makes it different from all the other bookshops? And the one consistent thing I noticed is none of them really leaned into local authors. And I was like, I feel like that was a big miss. Like, how do you not acknowledge the amount? We're living in fucking Nashville, which is like the country music, Hall of Fame is here. And you've got Dolly Parton, who does nothing but champion books right now. How do you not have local authors as a special? I don't understand.
That's
and I mean,
true.
and we have Parnassus who does it, but not to the degree that I feel like, and I mean, I say this with absolutely no shade on Parnassus at all. I love Parnassus. Ann Patchett is a very sweet woman. I think she's incredibly kind and I love her. And she actually donated books to a campaign that I've been doing. I mean, no shade. But how do you not like have an entire section that's nothing but local authors? I didn't understand that. And so by the time I did that, I had a job working for a company called the Book Publishing Academy, and I called my boss and I was like, how hard would it be to get local authors into a bookshop? And she said, honestly, all you'd need is a consignment agreement. I said, it can't be that easy. Yep. And so I came up with a consignment agreement with her help. And anybody that wants to put their books in my shop, I make it very clear. I can't promise you I'm going to sell everything, but I will at least give you shelf space and I will do my best to let people know that you are here.
For any authors listening, there is the Lindsay who is on, and we have her socials down below. You can poke her and say, hi, I have books. Would you like books?
Here's the consignment agreement. Send me your shit.
It's very easy.
It's literally that easy. It's literally that easy. I decided if I was going to do it, I was going to make it that easy. I don't want to make it so difficult that you're discouraged. I mean, because I had so many people tell me, oh, you can't run a bookstore. You're not smart enough. And you're competing with Amazon and you're competing with Barnes and Noble and Books a Million, blah, blah, blah. I'm almost in my 4th year of business. And I have been in the black every single year after taxes.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, so it's what they know.
And that's not easy to do.
Yeah. I can't imagine it being easy.
But if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Right. You just got to focus and set goals for yourself.
Well, and you got to be able to pivot. If something isn't working, you have to acknowledge, okay, that didn't work. I kind of failed on that front. What can I do to make it different? All right. So that for the farmer's market, for example, lately, normally I would take used books and I would do $2 for kids' books, $5 for paperbacks, $10 for hardbacks. But they haven't been selling lately this season. I was like, okay, what can I do to increase the money? What can I do to get more people interested in what's happening? So instead, I took a whole bunch of the local author books, a wide range of local author books, kid books, self-help books, fiction, fantasy, whatever. I actually sold more yesterday than I have in quite some time because people were just like, oh, local author books. That's so cool,
Yeah,
and
I think
so
people want something different.
Yeah. And I think having that ability to go, okay, this isn't working. Let me pivot and figure out what I can do. And let me try something else. And you are going to try, I think with any business, you are literally going to try 10,000 things. And 9,999 of them are all going to fail. But that one time it works. And you have to learn from it. And you have to be able to take feedback when somebody goes, that this is a dumb idea. Okay, it might be, but I'm going to try it. Okay, yeah, that was a dumb idea. It didn't work. Let's figure out a way to do it better. And listen to people who do know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also trust your own
dumb ideas, though. I don't think there's any dumb ideas. I think there's just sometimes you have ideas that are bigger than maybe what your capabilities are. So then you have to build up to those. So then you just go around, find a goal that'll work, and then you can build up to that one if you want.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair statement. Because if I had started out in a rental space,
to the moon.
Yeah. No, if I'd started out in a rental space right out the gate, I'd have failed miserably. Starting out in my office and slowly working my way up to a rental space, I feel like was very smart for me. It was you growing at a pace that you can manage.
Yeah, I agree. That makes it so, if things are difficult, at least when you are able to grow, you're able to have something to stand on so you don't get hit real hard. Happen.
Yeah, that sustainability of being able to grow at the right way is what's important. And I think some people get overexcited. oh, we're going to do 10,000. Do the one thing first.
Right.
Because, like, when I
You
shifted
know.
from giving book advice, because that wasn't going anywhere, and I was just basically saying the same thing on YouTube everybody else was saying. When I
Mhm.
pivoted to doing book reviews, especially indie author book reviews, when that started to do well, I was thinking, well, I'm glad I pivoted and looked how to do something different and didn't want to introduce it the same way. Because if I had to introduce everybody's books the same way, such as your book that was going to come out and Mia's book that is going to come out, if I introduce your books the same way, I feel people would get bored.
Yeah, you can. And the thing is, I mean, with books, there's so many different ways. You can't take a fantasy book and introduce it the same way you would introduce like a true crime book. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because one book I can pretend like I'm walking through the city on video, but if I do that with a more serious book that is something you got to sit down have a discussion with, it would not be taken seriously.
Yeah, you have to read the room. It's one of my favorite expressions. Read the room.
Yeah.
Don't always be the
Right.
smartest person in the room, and read the room and know your audience.
Exactly. Anyway, next question.
Yes.
What's your Mia, did you just delete that?
No, I'm making it so you can see the next question. Don't question my methods.
Yeah,
Oh my
we'll talk
God,
about this
y'all are
later. Anyway,
ridiculous. I love it.
what's your favorite part about interacting with customers?
When, like, let's say you love a book, right? You really love a book, and somebody's like, "Oh, what do you recommend?" And then I get to go off on some nerdgasm tangent about, "Oh my God, you would really love this book, and this is why, and it's so great." And they don't look at you like you're crazy because they also, "Oh, really? I read this book, and it's so great." And they go off on a nerd tangent, and it's like instant friendship. Books to me are the great unifier. Because people who read books are nerds. People who love books and love stories are nerds. And nerds are the most accepting group of people that you will ever meet. And so I love it when people come in my bookshop and they're just like, I had a girl yesterday that almost cried. She was so happy to have a local bookshop. And I was like, oh my God, it's the South. If you cry, we're all going to cry. We don't cry by ourselves down here. And she, you know, she just really loved it, and getting to see somebody react. And then she was like, I want my picture, because I have a Polaroid camera where I take picture of customers and that kind of stuff. And, not everybody's into the Polaroid thing, and that's fine. And she was like, no, I want my picture, and you need to get your picture, and we need to get our picture together. And I mean, it just so that that explosive amount of joy of being books. There's nothing like it.
I love the book nerds.
Yeah,
And like,
You're the
not just
best.
our inner book nerds that keep us going, but like all the readers who are like, I need your book. What
I
is
need
it
it
about?
right now.
Tell me everything.
Yeah. And book nerds are also like me in the fact that they're purists. What do you mean they're making a movie? If they don't do this movie right, I'm so mad. And
Fight people. We will fight people. Yeah.
that
because
rage,
you
a
don't do a
very
book movie
specific kind of rage about when you take something that somebody loves and you royally screw it up. Only book nerds understand that kind of rage. And I also gamers understand that kind of rage too, because they'll take books from gamers and gamers are like, that's not what happened in the game. What are you doing?
The point is that they one day need to just at least look at the storyline for freaking Resident Evil.
Right.
They have one of the best storylines.
They have never done that right.
Mess that up.
They have never done that right. Not ever.
I just assumed that in the zombies was the storyline because
no,
none of
there's
those
a whole
movies.
storyline.
No, Resident Evil has one of the best game storylines out there.
It
and every time
really
they do
does.
that, it's terrible. The Netflix one, though, was the worst of the worst. I don't know how they did that.
It's the same way that they do anything with like Percy Jackson. The movie, what? Why?
I know.
But then
The
you
TV
get the
series was
TV show.
better.
There is no way that whoever did the TV show did not only love those books, but they've read them and appreciated them. You can always tell, I think, with a movie, if the director or, whoever made the movie loved their source material. So like, I read, Where the Crawdads Sing, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it is one of the most beautiful books that I have ever read in my entire life because it's all about the love of the South and nature and it's just a beautiful book. So when I heard they were doing a movie, my initial reaction was, no, they're not. You can't do, no. There's no way that you can do this movie and translate the love of nature and the love of the South. No. And so I went the whole time thinking they're going to fuck this up 3 ways from Sunday. And I'm going to walk out of here so pissed off that I'm not going to be able to see straight because I love that book so much, right? They did a hell of a job. And I remember thinking this woman, whoever directed this movie, must have really understood the concept of what this book was trying to say because they did a hell of a job. And I don't say that often because most of the time they do terrible jobs. But this, I was like, okay, I really liked this book. Somebody really understood the concept of this book. Somebody got it.
Yeah. Well, it's
Agreed.
like right now, like Black Dagger Brotherhood is coming out. And I know a lot of people
God.
are like
I
watching
love
that one.
book
Yeah.
series.
I haven't. I know. I
However.
love the book series, and I was like, I have a friend who started watching it ahead of me, and she's like, "Oh, you may not like this, or this, but the other stuff is good." And I'm like, "Okay, like I can already feel my anxiety about this book
Me
series."
too. Me too.
Like, I'm just like, guys. Thankfully, I haven't read it in like 10 years, so I'm
Right.
lucky enough that I shouldn't notice anything too horrendous. I'm telling you, if I reread that book series after I watch the TV series, they've messed even one thing up, I will have so many rants. I mean, I had, not that I like J.K. Rowling anymore, because fuck her, but I was so mad about the Hermione shit, about how they cut out like 4 essential pieces of Hermione, that like, I know I raved for at least a month about that shit. Like,
well, my problem just on the previews alone is the hair from the cake, because I always imagined it was wavy.
Yeah.
So to have it stick straight like that, it's like, what?
Which is, it's funny because it sounds trivial, but it's like, if you love the book series, there's like certain things that stand out about the characters to you. And so it's like, if you don't have that one, and it's like anybody else who's not a book nerd would hear that and be like, really, you're concerned about the wavy hair? Like, that's your big deal?
That's what
but
you
also,
look
if you read the book, but it's like, to the reader, we've crafted this image in our head of like what this character is.
Let me tell you right now.
So the wavy hair is important.
I will tell you right now. I keep hearing rumors about Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm going to tell you right now that if they fuck up who they cast for Rhysand, I'm going to fucking riot. I will absolutely lose my... Fuck Tamlin, first of all. But if you miscast Rhysand, I will burn the world to the fucking ground.
And that is how passionate we are about books. Quick, Mia, next question.
Okay. So now we're gonna run to the author section because now we've gotten into the nerd wars too much. So we're backing out of the nerd war zone. We gotta back it up. Okay. Oh, yeah, we already have that. We already have the J.K. Rowling rant.
Bitch, so, you want to talk about fucking up? You literally had keys to the kingdom, and then you opened your mouth and said something stupid, and now your entire audience went, bitch, sit down, shut up.
Right. Because she didn't even need to. That was the thing. Like, we had an hour, I think it was like an hour and a half rant. Because the thing is I don't know if you saw the image she posted with it. So for anybody who hasn't listened to that episode, find that episode. But in that episode, we talked about the fact that J.K. Rowling had this whole fucking victory celebration over trans women's rights being taken down in their court system in the UK.
Yeah.
And she literally posted a picture of her with a glass of spicy juice, a cigar, fucking celebrating on a terrace somewhere that, by the way, fucking half her audience is queer. So, like, you have LGBTQ people who fucking supported you and gave you money, and you're just spitting in their faces on all the money you got from them. That's what that is. And she didn't have to. She didn't have to. That was the thing. She did not have to say shit. She could have kept her mouth shut because everybody knows that she's a big shit. We already know.
For read the fucking room and know your audience.
Yes,
exactly. We should put read the room maybe as a logo thing because clearly some people can't do that. Anyway, Mia, get to the next question because if we get on J.K. Rowling again, we'll be
it'll go downhill real quick.
And we already got rage questions coming up, so we gotta piece the rage down.
Separate down.
Oh God.
Okay. Into happy authorland where there are no problems. I'm lying, but just go with it.
I'm sorry,
How
there are
did you
no
get in?
problems?
What? You know what? I just said I was lying. Just go with it, God. So, how how did you get into writing, Lindsay? Ignore the lying previous.
Okay, so, I want to be honest about it. So I was trying to write up some DM scenarios for my D&D DM to give him like, hey, this would be really cool. What about this? Blah, blah, blah. And I was using AI to do it just as what do you think would happen if this happened? What do you think would happen if this happened? Okay, what if the characters made this choice? Because I was just playing. I wasn't like, it
Yeah.
had never even intended to write a book. Didn't even occur to me to do that. And I came back one afternoon and I was rereading some of the stuff and I was like, this would actually make a really good book. Like this would be something I would read. So I copied everything into a Word document, deleted every single thing that AI had written. Like, I mean, everything. Because I didn't feel like it would be fair to my authors if I used AI to write a book when I damn well know none of y'all do that. And so I deleted all of
Your
it.
book wouldn't be good if you did that.
Right. And I just was like, okay, so let me think about it. And it just poured out. I wrote the first book in like a week and a half. I mean, now granted, it's taken me months to go back and edit it and tweak some things, but the first like just verbal diarrhea book, I mean, it was literally, this is what's going to happen. These are these characters. Here's how this is going to happen. Here's what I want, And by the time I got done with the book, I knew how I wanted book 2 to go and book 3 to go. And I hadn't even set out to do that, but it was just like, there's the story. And I couldn't have stopped it even if I had wanted to.
Yeah, that's how it usually works. Once it gets you can't stop.
Yeah, you can't. It's just there,
Yeah. Okay, what is your book about? What's the genre, the tropes, and are you a pantser or a plotter?
Pantser or plotter? I say pantser because I write it all out, like just in just the verbal puke mode of there it is on the paper. But I want to say
You
I'm
can be
also
both.
yeah, I want to say I'm kind of both because I also, like, when I finished book 1, I was like, okay, they're going to do this, and then they're going to do this, and this is how book 2 is going to end, and this is how book 3 is going to end, and this is how we're going to get, and this part of book 1 is going to come back to book 3, and, like, I had it all in my head. But, getting there and finishing, okay, how do I get there? And that's the verbal diarrhea part, I think. So I would say I'm both. As for what my book is, as for what my book is about, I had this idea that what if you had a book that was sentient, like Buffy's Giles from Buffy? What if he was a book? And what if he could see into your soul to see if you were a good person or not? And there was this prophecy, that's the tropey part. There's a prophecy and a chosen one, and they have, but I liked the idea of a book going, no, you're a dick. I'm not going to give you my power, and so he finds the one person who doesn't want it and goes, no, you're the one. You're the one for me. But the person also has the power to accept that. It's not forced upon them. So, you've got this book going, if you do this, we're for life, you and me, ride or die, and it's going to be awful, and you're going to have to fight, and, I'm going to give you this power, and you're going to be really awful at it at first, but we're going to get there together, and I'm going to mock you ceaselessly because I'm a character that has no sense of, why are you crying? Suck it up. You'll be fine. You'll get there, the whole the consoling of the, there, you're fine. Are you ready for the next spell? What do you mean you're not done crying? I have no idea how to console people, but then you've got this, but then you've got this morally gray villain who feels compelled for some reason to help our heroine. And even he can't figure out why. He just feels this compulsion to do it. And, I feel like there's some really great character arcs. I feel like I've made my characters, I wanted characters that were like, okay, he's a bastard, but he's not a bastard to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you had to pick 2 genres that you're going to shove this book into.
Fantasy and romantasy, I would say, for sure. But like really dirty, spicy romantasy.
You dirty or spicy? What are you talking about? I don't. All
I
I
am
see is
pure
sweet,
as
innocent Lindsay.
Detroit-driven snow. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So, also,
Mhm.
describe one awesome moment from your book that you cannot wait to share with readers. And if it's a spoiler, you don't have to share the whole thing, but you have to give us something.
Just a
Something
little
to make
something.
us want it. I mean, we already want it, but I mean, you had everybody at Dirty Spicy, but
And this may be a weird thing, but I am really excited about the very first sex scene that I wrote. And the reason why, it was the first time I ever wrote anything like that. And my main character is a virgin. The female is a virgin. But by the time it's like a slow burn, right? So by the time you get there, they're both, kind of fighting this thing. Like she doesn't want to trust and he doesn't either. And he's a bad guy. And she has just got this, Mount Hiroshima level of mistrust and self-esteem issues because of everything that she's been through. And, you're trying to figure out all this stuff. But when she finally decides to take it, he still hesitates and is like, are you sure? Are you sure? Consent was such a big thing for me in this book. And I wanted it to be a big deal. So in the scene, when you read it, there's lots of consent. Maybe he asks too much if she's sure. But for him, he wanted to make sure that he didn't force her into something and that this was her choice, because the
no,
whole
I don't
book
think you
from
can
her
have too much
perspective,
consent.
well, and I
Yeah,
think
I
Yeah.
don't
the
think you
whole
can
book
have too
from her
much.
perspective is the fact that you are trying to take your life back and he did not want to
Yeah.
do anything to harm that.
Oh, adorable.
And so I
And
really love the way I wrote it.
I think consent's really important. And I think one of the biggest conversations in the indie author thing is about the fact that like traditional publishing hasn't seemed to figure out that triggers, like having a trigger page to see what might trigger readers. And that's something that indie authors have, like, it's a big thing for us. Like we have a trigger page right at the start. So some people use it as shopping list, to be fair,
I
but
mean,
what might hit you in the book. Yet
yeah.
traditional publishing, a lot of them don't have it. And I think having a character that is especially about the I mean, I don't know how many people I've met in book talk who don't fucking love like a morally gray guy who's all about the consent. Like, yeah, sure, you can fucking unalive 60 people, sure, whatever, but you need to get that consent in the bedroom. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Don't be playing with it.
Think that that's because, I mean, and let's be honest, in real life, nobody really wants a morally gray guy. Not really. I don't feel like
Yeah.
visiting you.
Yeah,
I don't feel
that'd
like
be a thing.
visiting you in jail,
But in
Yeah.
books,
But in
In
books,
books,
that
it's fun. In real life, it's
fantasy,
like, no.
right.
Yeah.
But in books, having that fantasy of someone who loves you so much and wants you so much and thinks that you are worth burning the world to the fucking ground because somebody looked at you wrong, it's fucking sexy.
Yeah.
And
then
but also, to be fair, it's also I can unalive all of them and I will burn the world to the ground, but I also know you're capable, so I'm going to sit back and watch you just obliterate everybody that's in your path. And if you need help, I got you, but I'm just going to sit here and be turned on watching you do it because I know you're capable. 'Cause you're badass.
right?
I mean, there's something to be said about that.
There is.
Yeah. Okay. If your main characters were stranded on an island and could only take one item, what would it be? And it cannot be a baby.
Ew, no.
We had that answer before.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Look, we had a great discussion with DC, and it went lots of places.
A baby?
You have to listen to the episode. I
That is the
cannot explain
last
it.
fucking thing that I'm taking on a desert island.
Yeah, that's why it's a part of the question.
Fuck no. No. God, I don't even know how to answer that. A baby? Okay, I'm gonna move past that. Like, okay. Wow.
You have to watch the Nisi interview.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think that my main female character would take the book, and my main male character would probably take his weapons.
Okay, see, good choice. Okay, so but they're not bringing food with them.
No, because if they're on a desert island, she can use water and fire, and he can cut things down like coconuts, and he can kill stuff with his weapons to eat. There's things that can be done with that.
why is she bringing the book? Which, again, as a book person, I understand that, but
The book is
Desert Island
magical.
planning.
Gotta bring
Remember,
the
the
magic.
book is
Okay.
magical. It's a sentient, magical book.
Okay, so it would be able to help call for help.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
And so now we get to my favorite evil question,
Oh,
which
God.
is, what is your favorite character? And you can only choose one. There is no multiples.
You're
You
an
have to
asshole.
play favorite, and I will tell your other characters what you said. So,
In my book or in a book in general?
in your book,
Oh,
you have to
God.
pick a favorite.
Yeah.
Every
Oh,
parent
you're
has their
an
favorite child. I'm just
asshole.
saying. Exactly.
I'm gonna say, and this maybe makes me sound like an egomaniac, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I did not realize that I did this when I was writing the book, but now I very much see that I did. My main female character is very much me. There are
Gotcha.
definite traits of me laced all throughout the book that I did not realize that I had done when I started writing it and I didn't realize it until I started reading it back to people and I had that, shit.
You're like, this
Well,
sounds familiar.
yeah.
What is
But I
it?
like that she never gives up, even when she is bone ass tired and just wants to crawl in a hole and die because she's been
Oh,
running and she's tired and she doesn't trust anybody and she doesn't have anybody, but still she
yeah.
has been handed this mission and come hell or high water, she made a promise, she's gonna see it out even though everything in her body screams for her to stop because she's tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, this she's a strong female character, but when you first meet her in the book, she seems weak and tired, but she's not. You
Yeah.
got to trust the process, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that even though she has trauma, when it matters, she handles some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That I like.
And I mean, granted,
Well, and I think
it
it's a
has
superpower.
consequences, but she
Yeah.
does, she does have PTSD. But when it comes down to it, she is fucking done with people's shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. I feel that. So I
So
think it's a superpower when you have that ability to, like, even if you're tired, even if you're fed up, even if you're like, I cannot do another minute, and you keep going. That is
yeah,
its own superpower.
and that's when they meet at the very beginning of the book. Is you've got this morally gray man who is literally known to be the thing of nightmares. People are terrified of him. And then he meets this girl who looks like she's about to collapse from exhaustion or starve to death. And
Yeah.
both of them are not in the best shape. And yet they're both drawn to each other and they both make each other better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And it does, in a way, make your characters feel more realistic, like these are actual people,
I think
versus
so
having it
too.
very Sue.
I think so too. You know,
Yeah.
and she is filled with doubt and doesn't trust herself and doesn't think she's special because, of everything that's happened to her. And he thinks he's a bad person because of everything that he's done. And both of them kind of help each other heal in a way. And I really like my main female character because ultimately, I mean, it's going to take all 3 books for her to get to her badassery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But by the time, and I decided when I did this book that we're not going to have doing the right thing. No, I want her to get hers. I want her to get hers and fuck some moral obligation and doing the right thing. She is owed a blood vengeance. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, she is
Aw.
fucking owed.
You're like, she will get what she wants. Dang it.
Yeah,
I will make sure.
I hate when you have like I didn't know that this bothered me, but the more I've read, when you've got a moral character or you've got a character and they make the moral choice by the end because they want to do the right thing, man, fuck all that.
Yeah.
She is owed. And she is going to
And
take it and not feel bad.
that could be 2025, honestly, because I think in 2025, with all the stuff we've been dealing with,
Yeah.
I think honestly we're all kind of tired of, why do we like we have to make the right choice in life all the fucking time. Like, that's what we're taught to do as being good civilized people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I can totally see it. Like, it gets tiring to read books where it's like they're gonna sacrifice themselves. Fuck that. Fuck that. Go get
No.
that
Yeah,
last
I
cookie,
agree.
that
Yeah.
last piece of cake. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah. And so that's
You
kind of
know?
what I decided is that I want her ending to be like, yeah, no, screw that. I'm not making the right decision. The right decision for me is to exact a blood feud level of revenge. You
Yeah.
know, and I think that and I think that that's a story that can be told. So what? So she doesn't make the moral choice. Who cares?
I don't care. I want her to do what she needs to do. I'm tired of always we have to do the right thing because it's kind of like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
book that I reviewed. The guy got the idea because he writes D&D, and two of his characters who were in love decide to sacrifice themselves using the power of love to take out the monsters. And after I read that, I called my friend laughing like no tomorrow. I'm like, oh my goodness, hon, this guy loves his girlfriend so much he's willing to sacrifice her.
I hate that sacrifice trope. I did not know that
Right.
that was a thing for me, but the more that I read it, the more it's like, oh, come on. Give me a
Yeah.
break. You can't tell me there's not another way to get around this.
Yeah. What's the next question? Okay. Tell us how you got into the banned books movement.
Oh,
And
God.
this is the section of rage. So
Yes.
let's
Gotta
begin.
take a deep breath and woo-saw that down some.
Let's screw the
No,
room song. Let's erase that.
Hold on, let me give you a
so
proper introduction. Entering from the left corner is Lindsay with the mighty word fist and the mighty facial expressions.
oh my
Go.
God.
You knew I was going to mention it. I
I
don't know why you thought I
knew
wasn't.
you were gonna mention the facial expressions. That has been that has
There's
taken
YouTube
on
proof, people.
such a life of its own. It's hilarious
Yes.
to me because I was unaware that my face was doing that until you guys said something.
Okay, well, explain why. Explain about the facial because there's a
Okay.
reason why we mentioned face.
Okay. So, all right. So back in 2023, there was this thing called, you know what, actually, let me help you. I'm going to get you, I want to give the right information if I'm going to talk about this because I don't want to be sued. So hang on.
Okay. Thank you. No lawsuits.
Yeah, no, I got to find my backpack. Oh, hang on one second. Okay. So back in 2023, Rutherford County passed this ordinance called hang on one second, let me find it. I have a
She's
notebook
bringing
full
out the
of
books,
so much,
people.
like the amount of notes and crap that I have is ridiculous. Okay, so in 2023, Murfreesboro decency ordinance went into effect, okay, in July 1st, 2023. So then the Rutherford County library or the Rutherford County School Board, they decided that they began restricting information and that people could access. And so people started fighting back. And so then back in January, the decency ordinance was repealed. But then the book banning started taking on a whole life of its own, right? So in the spring of 2024, they started quietly removing books from the library, right? And they were called out for challenging the books for removing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really get involved until probably July or August of last year. And the RCLA, the Rutherford County Library Alliance, somebody called, and they were like, hey, as a business owner, would you be interested in speaking out? And I was like, yeah, because I've always been 1,000% against book banning. I think, and I don't think that everything is a black and white issue. 95% of things are not a black and white issue, but I feel like with censorship, it has to be a black and white issue because who gets to decide where the line is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like with regards to censorship, it's all or nothing. And then with the all or nothing argument, you have to use your own judgment. You have to make that decision based on what's best for you or your family, you know, and that kind of stuff. So, you know, but that's just me. That's how I feel. And I realize it's a very polarizing belief, but that's how I feel. So
It is.
so I went.
Like we've been making decisions about everything in life. So like
Yeah.
it should be up to you. If you don't want your kid to read this material or you don't want to read, then that's your choice. You don't have to. But like
Right,
taking it away
exactly.
from everybody is bullshit.
It's a
Like The
step too
Handmaid's
far.
Tale.
Right.
Super banned book in a lot of places.
Well, and so I went and I spoke, And I have seen this happen to every single person who's never been to a school board meeting, and they go to the school board meeting and the absolute shock of what happens at these meetings with the bickering and the back and forth, me, and the
Yeah.
this one specific group of people that's spearheading all of this. It belongs to a mega
Mhm.
church, and that's all I'm going to say because I don't want you guys to get sued. But if you're in this area, you know them. They all show up wearing white shirts, and they were calling us whores of Satan is my favorite one. And then they actually had a banishing ceremony because you get 3
Oh, wow.
minutes to speak in front of the school board. They actually, and I wish I were kidding, held a banishing ceremony. So not joking. And so you're
Oh,
sitting
wow.
here watching this going, what
What is going on?
is
Yeah.
happening?
Our
You
podcast, I
know?
can say this. I don't think they read that book they claim to subscribe to.
No. Well, and the other thing too is they get up there and they start preaching and they read things from the Bible, and you're just like, what's happening?
Yeah, because I remember you showing that on live stream, and when I was watching it, when the audio was good, because we did have moments when the audio went out, but
Yeah,
when the
yeah,
audio
yeah.
was good, and I heard them doing that, I was like, what on earth are they even talking about?
Yeah.
This sounds less like the Bible and more like you're just making stuff up on the spot.
Oh, yeah. And it's bad. It was really, really bad. And they would be really disruptive when any of us in the purple shirts got up to speak. And it just, I just remember sitting there the first time going, I'm sorry, what? And just absolutely being completely speechless at the just, what? And I looked at Carrie and I was like, dude, and she goes, I warned you. And so the more they started banning books, the more I got up to start speaking. And at first I tried really hard to be polite and respectful because that's how I was raised. You try to be respectful, And but the more that we got into it, the more they went on the attack and started labeling us all kinds of stuff. We were demons. We were, trying to corrupt their children, and you're sitting here going, We are just trying to ask you to follow the law. And what people don't understand, this is not a Christian thing. This is not a anti-Christian thing. This is not that. And so what it is so in 1973, there's a case called Miller versus California. Okay. And it set the first precedence because nobody really had a way to navigate what was obscene and what was not. It was still very, because that was right when you got Larry Flint with Penthouse magazine and the Playboy guy whose name I can't remember, and you had all the dirty mags that were coming out and pornography films that were getting seen. Yeah, thank you. So you had this resurgence in the porn industry, and people didn't know how to define what was pornography and what was not, or what was obscene and was not. So you have this case, Miller versus California from 1973, and I think if I remember correctly, he was sending dirty pictures or dirty letters through the mail, and they arrested him. And anyway, the point is, so the Supreme Court in the United States Supreme Court Justice Warren Burger decided to come up with this thing called the Miller test. And the first one is a prurient. It has to pass all three of these to be considered obscene. The first one is it's a prurient interest. And what that means is, would the average person applying contemporary community standards find that the work, and this is the major, taken as a whole, like that is in big capital letters, loud for the people in the back, taken as a whole, appeal to a prurient interest. Now, what prurient interest means is an excessive or morbid interest in sex. Okay.
Yeah.
So would that film, that book, that image, whatever, appeal to a person who has an excessive, and most of the time, even pornography films don't apply that way. The second one is, does the work depict or describe in a patently offensive way sexual conduct specifically defined by the state applicable law? Okay. And the problem is with that is that now, back then, everything was clear cut. Now you have a lot of laws that are in the gray area so that people can sit and go, oh, well, state law says this, but does it really? So it sidetracks that or like sidesteps it. And then the third one is, does the work, again, taken as a whole, lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value? So technically, porn films are artistic.
Yeah.
Because and they have a story because the mailman is delivering the mail, And so if all three prongs of the Miller test are met, the material is considered obscene and can be prohibited. 95% of the things that go up against the Miller test fail.
Yeah.
I mean, really think about that. 95% of it goes up and it fails because it doesn't appeal to pure interest. It doesn't, most of those things have literary value or educational value the school board banned a textbook about sex and your bodies because the pictures of people's genitalia to explain this is what a penis looks like, this is what a vagina looks like, these are boobs, this is a period, this is what were offensive. And it was a textbook. A school board banned a textbook, And so the more I sat here and watched this stuff, the madder and madder I got at just the audacity of people saying, oh, honey, we just want to make the decisions that are right for you. You aren't educated enough and you're just too stupid to know what's good for you. So we're going to make that decision for you. The kicker for me, though, that sent me over the rage edge into I'm going to scorch the earth with my literary rage was that what they did to the librarians. Even now, I can literally feel my heart beating faster. So the way school libraries are set up, you have librarians who every year before the school year starts go through and they curate a curriculum based on tons of advice from the American Library Association, the American Booksellers Association, 50 billion different people that all look at these books and go, okay, this book is good for this age. This book is great for this age. This book would probably be more college level. This book is great for kids, and they curate. And to be a librarian in a public school system, you have to have a master's degree in library science, flat. So you have these librarians who have spent years educating themselves on how to curate a library collection for a school. And they sit there and they read these books and they really notate, does it pass the Miller test? Is it obscene? Does it have intrinsic value for the age group that we want to put it in? Does it educate them? Does it help them with societal issues that are happening right now, right? So they spend hours doing this every summer. They put these books in the library and, no problem. Hours and hours as a librarian doing this. Okay, so the school board decided somebody threw up 140 books on the challenge list. So the school board decided, oh, you know what? During Christmas break, instead of letting our teachers have Christmas break, let's make you guys re-review all 140 of these books.
Oh,
and
my
we'll
goodness.
pay you. It was something somebody did the math, and if I remember correctly, it was something like 15 cents an hour per person.
Oh, my goodness.
For them during Christmas break to re-review all the books they had already reviewed, fill out these reports, and there was really only one book that they said this could be crossing the line, but that's really up to the parents to decide, which I'm going to get to that in just a second. So they go back to the school board and they say, okay, this is our reviews. And I read every single report because they have to make it public knowledge. And I went through and I read every single one, and not a single one of them passed the Miller test. All of them were exactly where they should be. There was no problem with any of that. And so they did hours upon hours of rework. And you know what the school board did? We're going to take them out anyway. Thanks for all your hard work. We're just going to dismiss all your hard work and just take them out anyway.
They already
and
had their agenda.
It pissed me off because it was such a fucking insult to people who you vetted and you hired and you employed to do the exact thing that you just asked them to do. And now you just basically told them that their jobs, that you don't think that their work, you don't value their work. And it was so disheartening to sit there with librarians who would work so hard to redo work that they had just done 6 months ago, sobbing.
Yeah.
Because some of the books that they removed, they had to physically go take them from kids' hands while they were actively reading them in school. Imagine being a little kid reading a book and really enjoying it and having a librarian go, honey, I have to take this from you, but I'm not done reading. I understand that, but the school board says you can't read it anymore.
Yeah, because the school board is a piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got this one school board member who
Oh, is it my favorite one?
Yeah, we're not going to say their name because, but he did this one thing that
the start of his name starts with racist. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all we really need to say here.
When the DEI business started, first of all, the school has no business going in and making DEI rules. You're not DEI. You're fucking school board. Just do school board shit. You have no reason to be getting into immigrant shit. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, this one guy sat here and looked at this mother in the face as this mother pleaded with them not to do this very thing that they were going to do because her child, her elementary school child, was terrified to go to school because he was afraid that ICE was going to come and arrest him at his elementary school classroom, and he didn't want to go to school. And
as we've seen, that's actually happened.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And the
In
look
LA,
on this guy's face
More than
was
LA.
one of these superior smugness that I have never wanted to smack an expression of somebody's face in my entire life. Because I was like, this mother is talking to you and pleading with you about her fucking child. And you can't even give her the courtesy to listen without looking down upon her.
Yeah.
I went home and the drive home, I cried the entire way home. I rage cried because I was so angry at the disrespect because not only did they pass the thing for the DEI, much to everybody in the room yelling shame, including the white shirts and the purple shirts. We all were on the same side. Shame on you. That they had to take a recess and then they came back and re-voted the right way like they should have. But by then, for all of us, it was already too late. You already should. And the fact that he spearheaded all of that and the school board said, dude, I don't think that you understand how you're coming across, but you're coming across kind of racist.
And it was only a if I remember correctly, because we were watching it on live, it was only a technicality really that they even did the revote because they're like, oh, we're going to come back and readdress this in like 30 days or a couple of months or something.
They still haven't done it.
Yeah, they were talking about, oh, we're just going to, because clearly this is it's a sensitive topic, dumbasses. And so they literally, and racist guy, by the way, was throwing the biggest hissy fit on his face.
Oh,
like you could tell he was fucking mad.
He was upset.
He was like, well, we should just already voted, Like he was trying to go past it, but people were so pissed in the audience, and you could hear them in the live. And there's YouTube recordings, I believe, on there. I'll link their channel too. I'll link the channel down below, you guys. So there's recordings.
People were yelling shame.
Yeah,
really
people
loud.
were pissed, and so the only reason they changed their fucking racist bullshit vote because it's a race. Let's just be real. It was fucking racist because racist boy has his little cronies on the school board, right? So the only reason they changed it was like a technicality thing where they were like, I think they literally had a recess and were like, oh shit, people are pissed, and they're more pissed than they were about the banned books. So we've got even the people who hate each other are agreeing. So that's the only reason they used the technicality.
Doing that. There was no reason to do that.
That's not you're a school board. Like you're not the Senate. You're not even your own state's House or Senate. Like this is not your job. Your job is to make sure that your schools are running right. And I mean, like it was funny because Lindsay's made this point a couple of times that in this particular school district, they had a school falling apart with like mold and shit that had not been taken care of, but yet they were focused on this banned book shit. And Lindsay actually used that as like one of her points in one of her arguments to be like, okay, wait a minute.
I had no idea that the parents in that particular school did not know that that's what was happening.
Yeah, they didn't know.
So when I got up there and I made the point of like, I don't understand why we're even talking about this when you have a school in our district right now whose windows aren't working to the point that you had to move people into the gym because there was no heat in some of the classrooms. Somebody had to
Yep.
privately donate money to fix the gym windows, and there's a mold problem. But yes, we're worried about books. And
Yeah, the bad book.
in 24 hours that I did that, I have somebody call me and be like, you have no idea the fire that you just started. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they said that they had so many people calling the school board and the school that they had to release an official statement.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying,
Because, that's just a tiny bit of they deserve more. So we're almost to the end question, but I actually thought of another question. We're almost there, but but I was gonna say I wanted you to talk about, because you've mentioned it before, the documentary that you're doing, and talk about that a little bit, because the ACLU and all that kind of stuff, because that's great and fascinating.
So
I want people to hear.
The school board was warned on multiple occasions by their lawyers that they were going to, if they kept going down this path, they're going to get sued. Well, ACLU and Penn America, along with a couple of students, Penn America represents, I think, 30 or 40 of the authors that books are on the ban list. So Penn America got involved with the ACLU out of Knoxville, and they filed a lawsuit against the Rutherford County School Board. So I was just alarmed that people didn't know that this kind of thing was happening, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to a friend of mine, William Turk, who's in Chicago. He's a playwright. He's a writer. He's really awesome. And we got the idea, what if we wrote a play? And then we put the play on, took the proceeds, because I had been talking about wanting to do a documentary about this, but I was trying to figure out how to fund it. So he decided, let me write a play, and then I'll give you the play for free. We'll all tweak it together. You find a director, we'll put the play on, and you use the proceeds from the play to fund the documentary. I was like, that's actually really good. But because I wouldn't be in this place at all without RCLA, I decided I'm going to take half the proceeds for the documentary, and the other half I'm going to donate to RCLA, so that they can keep doing what they're doing, because they're a 501c, which is a charitable organization business. Yeah. So the documentary basically is going to just be a chronological timeline of this is what's happened. This is how it's affecting the people in this community. This is what people outside of the community are thinking. And it's just, I want to shine a light on what's happening down here. And so we have our first interview on the 6th with a poet who, well, actually, we have my interview on Monday, and then he is next Sunday, and it's just let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you know. Let's talk about what you think. Let's talk about how it's affecting you. And I want to get librarians and writers, and we have somebody from the school board. We have a special guest that I can't talk about right now because it's not confirmed, and I don't want to out them yet. But we have people that this issue affects, and we're going to get them on camera, and we're going to talk about it. And one of the things that we really wanted to do is one of my coordinators on the documentary, she decided, let's interview you first. Then we're going to do all the other interviews that you want to get done, and then we'll interview you last and see if the start to finish, what has changed for you, which I thought was a really, really good idea. And I'm hoping by the time that we get done, we're going to have a review on this lawsuit. But we'll see. But I want to tell the story.
Because I think that, because like, as we've seen, and we have a political part of this podcast that I know some of our book people don't watch, which is totally fine. But we do political episodes on here. Yeah. And one of the things that, like, we're seeing with a lot of the political stuff we're seeing is that, like, the court is just kind of rolling over. Senators are not doing shit. You have a few people in the House and Senate who are trying, but everybody else, for some reason, is so fucking afraid to say, hey, you're doing illegal shit. This isn't okay, which is not a good forecast for this country. Like, this country is doing some fucked up shit right now. So I think we need to have people stand up. And because, like, if you stand up, it's just your little county, but one person standing up in one county is how segregation got toppled. So,
all it takes,
having people stand up,
one person to start a movement. All it takes is one person. And I'm like standing here with RCLA, and we're begging people to stand up with us. I mean, and look at the No King's Day. Look at how many states had protests all over there. And there were
37 countries that joined us too.
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of countries that joined us. So, I mean, people are fighting back. It's just the people that are fighting back just don't have quite enough power. And it makes me think, and I mean, I hate A Bug's Life. It's not one of my favorite movies, but
Same here, but I like the message.
there is a scene where you've got the main grasshopper talking about these ants, about how they don't know that they have the power because they, this and that and the other. But the minute they find out that they number us, they will have the power, and we won't be able to keep them back anymore. And I think that that's such a what is the word? I think that's such an honest thing about what's happening in the world is you have people willing to stand up. You just have to get enough of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of people who are afraid because they're oh, I'm just one person. And so a lot of people are like, what can really one voice do? And I'm like, yeah, but if you look at how big our country is, one voice times 50 is 50 people.
Yeah.
Times that by however many people listen to them. It's like an exponential rate of increasement.
Well,
so,
and look at it this way too. If you go to the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, right?
Yeah.
There's a part of the exhibit is where there's and this struck me so hard, and it stayed with me. And it may just be, I don't know if it's my white savior complex or whatever you want to call it, but you have this bus that had a bomb thrown at it and it was blown up, and so they have the remnants of this bus that has this big burnt out section where the bomb blew up and caught fire, and I mean it looks raggedy because a bomb went off, right? And then you have this wall, and it's literally from ceiling to floor, wall to wall, of all of the mugshot of all of the people that were arrested at that particular protest, and there are white people on the board.
Yeah.
And there's not many, but there were white people on this board that stood with African Americans during the civil rights protest. And I remember sitting there going, I want to be that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to be someone
that when history,
right side of history. Mm-hmm, when history looks back and they see pictures of this country and the things that happened in this country, I want to be a mugshot on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be the person who just stood there and was silent.
No. Well, but I mean, I've got friends who are in the LGBTQIA, group. I've got friends who are Black. I've got friends who are Hispanic and Asian. And, I've got trans family members and that kind of stuff. And I cannot sit here and look you guys in the face if I don't stand up and say, this is so wrong and you can't do this. I can't claim to be an ally. And somebody actually, it was so funny, and it's part of what's led me to part of the play and the documentary and that kind of stuff. Somebody told me one time, oh, you need to put your money where your mouth is. And I guess they thought that I wasn't going to do it. And, I laugh about that because it means they didn't know who I was. And I said, what do you mean? And they were like, it's not personal for you. And I said, you don't think this is personal for me? And I was like, okay. So I went up. And I almost puked before I went. I almost didn't get up. I wasn't afraid. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to stand up. But I went up in front of the school board and I told everybody about my sexual assault. And I didn't name the person, but I said, I was assaulted in college and I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself and die because of the shame of it. And it wasn't even vaginal rape. It was oral rape, but it was still very, very, very violent. And, I ended up with a black eye and like if my face gets too much sun on it, you can see the scar from where I had to get stitches in my face near my mouth. And I said, I wanted to die because I felt so ashamed. I didn't know that kind of thing could happen to someone. And I went to the hospital and they told me it wasn't rape. Didn't do a rape kit. I tried to report it to the police. They said it wasn't rape. It was such a systematic failure for me as a victim of an assault to be told by people in authority, that it wasn't rape, and why didn't you just do it? And maybe he wouldn't have hit you that hard,
right?
And then I was labeled a whore, and they were like, well, why would he do that to you? He's popular and big man on campus, this kind of stuff. And it just was like, here I am, a virgin, bleeding, trying to tell people that this thing happened to me and being labeled a whore because why did you take him back to your dorm room? Because I live there. That's where I do hang out. We're broke college students. What do you want? Well, what were you wearing? The sweatshirt
always,
with blood
it's
down
always
the
blaming
front.
the victim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
always
told
like,
this
well,
story.
what did you do to provoke it? When the question
Yeah.
should be more like, what the fuck is wrong with the person
Yeah.
for doing this shit? And so
Right.
for
And I
some
told
reason,
them,
as a
I said,
society, we've decided that shit's
mhm,
okay, that it's
right.
okay to blame the
It's
victim.
like,
And I
yeah,
told
this is why
everybody
we
that's
ignore everything.
right. And I told somebody that
Yeah.
I told everybody, somebody gave me the book Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, and that reading that it wasn't my fault, and reading that something very similar to what happened to me happened to this girl. It was the first time I remember in months thinking, okay, it wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
I was literally overpowered by someone who was obviously bigger than me, obviously stronger with me.
Yeah.
I tried to fight back, and it didn't work, but it's not my fault, And I spent years in therapy trying to recover from that. And, and I know
Yeah.
that, but I went up in front of this school board, which took more courage than I still can't believe I did it, because those things are filmed live. And so I told everybody this story, and I said, you guys are trying to take a book away that actually helped save my life. Had I not had this book, I might have killed myself.
Yeah.
And I'm trying, and I stood there begging them, please don't do this. Please don't take away the one thing that could help someone like me not want to die. And they banned it anyway. And then I had some guy get up and give me this whole, I'm so sorry that happened to you, and I hope you know it's not all men. No shit, we know it's not all men, dumbass. That is not a helpful man. And having literally somebody else get up right behind me saying that the reason her assault happened was because of books like that. Bitch, no, it wasn't. It was because that person was a shitty fucking monster. And it literally,
that's
it literally
you blame the
negated
book.
every single thing that I had said. And it was like, I don't even know why I got up and spoke, because none of you guys listened or heard anything that I said. Or you dismissed it as, oh, well, she's still traumatized. Bitch, no, I'm not. I'm fucking angry. I'm not traumatized. I'm angry.
What does being traumatized have to fucking do with anything? You can be traumatized about a lot of shit in life. That doesn't change the truth of it, and that doesn't change what should be the fact.
Yeah, I went up to see a state senator during where there's a day where you can go up to the Capitol and you can talk to your representatives, right? And I tried to tell him what was happening, and all he cared about was, well, are you okay now? Did you get therapy? I want to know about your trauma. Like, is that why you're doing that? I'm like, this has sort of trauma.
Yeah.
You were not listening to me the minute, and that's why I never said anything for 20 years, because the minute you tell someone that you are a victim, it absolutely fundamentally changes how people look at you. And you can see it the minute it happens on their face. Oh, but you also asked me about my face. So the other thing about this too is I did not.
By the way, we have links. We have links to her face, and this is this is why we brought this up.
So
because in these videos, you see a lovely Lindsay's face.
I was unaware that my face was doing what my face was doing.
Was being sassy. Yeah.
In these videos. And apparently I have zero chill when I'm pissed off.
You do not.
Apparently.
There's no chill.
And there's no chill. And so I started getting these text messages about your face in these live streams. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I went back and looked at some of the videos and had this moment of, oh my God. Oh my God. Because you can see me muttering phrases like, what the actual fuck? And rolling my eyes and the look of just absolute flabbergasted that this is happening, and the decisions and just watching me facially react to this stuff. I could see how it's funny, but at first I was like, oh God, I want to die. I didn't know it was doing that. And then I was told that if I did not continue to sit up front so that they could see me, I would never hear the end of it. So I continued to sit up front, and my whole face has kind of now become a meme of my.
Yeah, but hold on. There's a more to this story.
Oh,
so the second part of this story is that the school
they
board
removed
caught on to her face. They caught on.
And they removed it is to my understanding, so to be fair, to my understanding,
What she was
that
called. But let's be real. Once you watch those videos, you know it was because of Lindsay. But allegedly, we'll use allegedly.
allegedly
Allegedly is
Allegedly,
our
we like
favorite
that
word
word
on this
here.
channel.
they removed three rows of seats from
Oh my
behind
god.
the speaker where you can see the people that are sitting to keep me off camera because my reactions being on camera apparently did not settle well with the school board members. And so when I found out that they did that, I went back and I watched to figure out how low I had to sit in my chair so that I could still be on camera.
Yes.
So in one of the last school board meetings before they finished banning all the books that they wanted to ban, you see me practically laying down in my chair.
Yes. They
So that
removed, what was it, 3 rows of seats? They
three
removed
rows of
3 rows
seats.
of seats so that they would not have to, so that her face wouldn't pop up on the camera.
And so I decided to sit low enough that it would still pop up on the camera. And I was practically laying down in my seat with and I've gone back and looked at it, and I have a very, very spiteful Cheshire grin level smirk on my face, sitting there, arms crossed with this expression.
You know what you should
Like,
do though? You should cut out all those facial like captures on there, like download the video, capture or screenshot all your faces, and then get Fort Miners Remember the Name and change like keep the tune, but change the lyrics to Remember My Face and
oh
just
my
go with
God.
it.
You sit, and I mean, you guys watch, you're sitting there watching these people who are supposed to be leaders in our community sit here and bicker like they're 5-year-old children and just me. Well, me.
Yeah.
Well, blah, 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 blah. Well, you're wrong. And you're just like, are y'all 5? Get your shit together. Stop
Yeah.
bickering and just make a goddamn decision.
Uh,
And it was so annoying because it just, to me, it was like, you guys are not. And I actually called him out. You remember the meeting where I was like, every time that we get up here, you guys sit here and play on your phone and you're looking at text messages and you're not giving this the attention it deserves. And I've decided that the next time I go to a school board meeting, if they start doing that, I'm going to be like, can you pause the time until so and so finishes looking at their cell phone? This is my 3 minutes and I would like your attention fully, please. I'll wait.
right.
Mhm. You gotta shame them like you do a kid, because clearly that's the only language they understand. My goodness.
It just, you sit here and you watch them, and they're just the most disinterested group of people. And not all of them, let's be honest, not all of them do that. There's
Yeah.
just a couple that literally could not give two shits about the issue and just want it to go away. And that's just not, that's you ran. And I even said this, remember this too. You guys ran for this position. You wanted this position. You wanted to sit on the school board and make decisions for the school. So why don't you do your job and pay attention? People are giving up time with their families. They're giving up time out of their own day to come here and plead with you to listen to them. The least that you can do is sit here off your phone and pay attention and listen to what these people are saying and give them your undivided attention, because we are your constituents in this school board district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it made me so mad. And I straight up called him out. I had enough. I literally just had enough one time. I couldn't take it anymore. It made me so mad that I'm sitting up here
Yeah.
talking to you. I could be home eating dinner with my kid.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm sitting here talking to you bunch of yahoos who aren't even going to give me enough respect to listen to what I'm trying to say and understand that maybe your perspective is not the only perspective that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't give two craps.
They really don't. It's like they want this power, authority, and what do they do with it? Absolutely nothing but try to push their own agenda instead of listening to the people who put them there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like the arch nemesis, like if this were a novel, my arch nemesis, the only reason, and I know this for a fact, that he is on that board is because he wants a seat in the House or the Senate where they have somebody who's gonna end up retiring. And so this specific religious organization, which we have mentioned before but will not name, they offered to run the seat for him and finance his run for it if he would get on the school board and do what they wanted. So he is literally the puppet for this school board or for this one particular church.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which is disgusting and sad.
It really is, because church is not supposed to be that way. God is not supposed to be that way. God is supposed to love everybody. God is supposed to hang out with the hookers and the lepers and the tax collectors and all the people that need him. God is not going to sit there and judge you and say you're going to burn in hell because of who you love. Who you love doesn't affect me. What you read doesn't affect me. Let God deal with that shit when you die and turn into fish food.
Exactly. Okay, final question.
Yes.
The next few minutes and pitch yourself in that author con thing that you're doing. Say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know that there has been a lot of skepticism with a lot of other cons kind of taking a shit. I want to let everyone know that that's not how mine is. I had a very successful one this year. And so next year we're going to do it bigger and better. And it's all local authors, TikTok authors, independently published authors. We're going to have 50 seats this year, as opposed to the 30 that we had, or 50 seats next year, as opposed to the 30 that we had this year. We have a second room that's going to have all the panels. We have activities for those coming in Friday night. We have activities for those that are staying on Sunday night. I mean, it's well planned, it's well thought out, and it's one of those things that, like, I took into consideration all the things that didn't go right last year. I say last year, but I mean this year. And we've already implemented changes to make it better for next year. And, you know, it's literally just a showcase of the talent that is in this country that is not super famous. Just because you're super famous doesn't, every single time that I see a remake, I just want to point to my local author shelves and be like, but why though? You know?
Right.
But so yeah, AuthorCon is going to be April. Oh gosh, where's my phone? Because I get the dates messed up with the writers retreat too all the time because I have too much going on because I don't know what a vacation is. So it's April 17th through the 19th, and it's going to be here in Smyrna, Tennessee, at the Smyrna Convention Center. And you know, if you're interested, the 1 day rate for a table is $100. If you want to do both Saturday and Sunday, I'm gonna kind of do a discount, and it'll be it'll be $150 for both days. And so you'll get, I'm not taking any of your sales, just I want the table fee covered, you know? And literally, I just want to have you come. I want to showcase you. I want to show how amazing you guys are. And I swear to God, unlike some of these other people, I will be transparent. You'll know where your money is going. And if there's a problem, I will let you know. But there won't be, because I'm a control freak and will have 5,000 different solutions before even one problem comes up. So
and how can people buy tickets?
Oh, people
get these tables.
Tickets will go on sale probably starting in January or February. And if you want a table, you can email me at thespinebookshop@gmail.com.
And that will be down below. So all her socials and websites and stuff will be down below.
Yeah, and if you want to put your book in my shop, same information, just email me and I'll send you all the information that you need.
And if you want to pester her about her upcoming books, same email. If you want to email her and support the book banning or documentary, same email. So
that's the other thing we forgot. So my response to the book banning was to start that initiative called the Banned Book Brigade. Because brigade is an old English word for, like, you know, military group or whatever. And so
it sounds cool.
Yeah. So if you want to contribute and help fighting the banned book thing that's going on down here, you can do it one of two ways. You can look at the list that's on our website, and you can buy the books and send them to me, and I will put them in a cart outside my shop for free. I will take no proceeds from them. I want them to be given away to people who cannot afford to buy books, because the problem with the thing that people don't understand is there's a large section of communities that don't have access to a public library. So the only library kids have is their school library. So if those books are not in the school library anymore, they don't have access to them. So by me putting them in for free in a cart, money isn't the issue. Come and get it. Come and get the book. I don't care. And if you want to just throw money at it, you can. There's a link to my Venmo or PayPal. I can't remember which one it is. But you can throw money at that. And I will take that money and I will specifically go buy books that are on the banned book and put them on the cart. Because it's important to me that finances not be a bridge you have to come across to get a book to read.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think that was our last question, and we loved having you. And even though I didn't get the chocolate that Crystal owes me, wait, we almost forgot. Hold on, wait. Look, we're still gonna fight about the chocolate. That ain't even gonna be that's always gonna be a thing.
Even when I finally sing you the darn chocolate, you're gonna still do this.
Wait, but hold on. We gotta give Lindsay a homework assignment.
Oh God,
we do homework assignments for our guests. Yes. I will get a collection of all these homework assignments, and it has to be a video because every other one has seemed to be a video of some sort. So we have to think up a nifty assignment for Lindsay that she has to complete.
Oh,
dun, dun, dun.
All right, let me get a piece of paper.
I actually have an idea.
No, God, let me get a piece of paper. All right, I'm ready. I'm writing it down.
Get the paper.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
I think that you should do a video to support your book banning and especially that free book thing, because I love free books. So you need to dress up cover of one of those banned books. I don't care which one it is. It has to be large enough that you can see the author and the title. You have to use that in your little in your band. You have to, which means you have to get the outfit. You have to make the outfit. Or you just get a t-shirt right on it.
What is it that you want me to dress up as?
What do you want to dress up as?
Okay. Yeah, you can get a t-shirt, or you could even get a paper sack and put it on with the title of the banned book, whichever favorite banned books you have, with the author, and you have to do, I don't know, a TikTok dance, some kind of quick 60-second video to advertise your free books, your free banned books.
You think of the best homework assignments, my goodness.
Look, no, I got with these, and
I can do that.
Perfect.
I'll come up with something. I got it.
You know what I forget though? I realized that I don't put deadlines on these assignments, so I need to I have a list of everybody we're interviewing and future interviews.
I think the genie in the bottle for Carlos is going to take a hot minute, so I thought it was better you did.
Oh look, I'll find a way. I'll find a way to get Carlos to do.
I will do a clever video for you for the banned book stuff.
Yay!
I have an idea.
We'll make a video of all of them at some point and then release them so everybody can see our homework assignments.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
We'll have a homework assignment episode.
Oh
exactly.
God.
Be like, this is everybody's homework assignment. Did they finish?
That is going to be but I'm here for it.
Oh my God, I have the best idea. I just have the best. Okay, I'm not saying anything. I have the best. I got the best.
Yeah, don't tell us. I just want to see it. I love it. I can't wait. But also, thank you for joining us here. We appreciate you. We love having you.
Absolutely,
We're probably going to have you on for a political episode. I'm telling you right now, because I'm sure there's going to be some political episode, and we'll just have you chime in on it. So,
please, please, I love doing that kind of stuff, especially because I actually know what I'm talking about with some, and unlike some people in this country.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll have 3 instead of just me and Crystal raging. We'll have me, Crystal, and Lindsay raging together.
Yeah.
Just because.
We need somebody to help us rage because it's been getting real.
Oh, man.
It has been real for the last 8 years.
True.
No, but it's popping off. We're going, I knew we were going to go the dictatorship route with the secret police and everything. I just didn't think it'd be within 4 months. I assumed it would be a year. I had hope.
I thought we had a solid year before all this mess started popping up. And
I knew the minute he got elected that I knew it was going to be that quick. I had no doubt how fast that was going to happen. I'm not at all surprised by anything.
It started, but I assumed Evil Oompa Loompa would be distracted for at least, a couple of months try to make this military parade that failed.
No. I knew
that
it
was
was
so
going to
funny.
go so fast downhill. I'm not even
Oh,
surprised.
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm not surprised that nobody's standing up. Like, that's not surprising. Anyways, we'll save
Anyway,
that for the political
this is
episode.
our political episode
So,
stuff, not our book talk stuff.
right. So, anyways, you guys, thank you, love you for listening to As the Pages Turn podcast. And this was our lovely Lindsay from the Spine Bookshop. All the socials are below, so click all those socials. I don't care what you do with the socials, just click them all. Follow her on TT, follow her everywhere, and email her. If you're an author, email her, get on that author con, because me and Crystal are planning to be there. Like,
Yeah,
we for sure have already said,
hilarious.
we
Yeah,
already
it's
said we're
gonna be great.
coming. Yeah.
No, it's going to be great.
So you will see us there for sure, probably for sure. I mean, I'm sneaking in, I don't care how.
Yeah. Well, and we have
We
a
will
lot
be
of
there.
panels that we're signing people up for too. I mean, we have a lot on our plate, things that we're going to do. Oh, and last thing. So we do have a GoFundMe set up where we are trying to raise money to move to a new location because shit's expensive and rent and moving signs and all that. So if you feel like helping us find a new location, please let us know because we could use all the help we can get.
Yes,
And
the
bigger
GoFundMe
bookstores
is
are
also linked
notoriously
down
better.
below.
Yeah.
Bigger bookstores give you better karma in life. I've heard
Yes.
this. It must be true.
I
So,
think so too. And the bigger space we get, the more we can do for local
more
communities.
books we can have.
More books.
Yeah.
We want other books.
More books. Okay, with that said, love you guys. Thank you for listening. And click all the socials below and find Lindsay and email her and say, hi, I want this, this, and this.
Yes.
Here, I'll just do 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 do. We'll end on the theme song. Do 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 do.